What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. Today we're going to break down the Florida State Seminoles heading into the 2020 season. A little Florida State football preview coming at you. So I want to get into this. Mike Norvell comes over from Memphis. Very, very successful stint at Memphis. 2016, 8-5. 2017, 10-3. 2018, 8-6. And then conference champs last year at 12-1 for the Memphis Tigers. Comes into a very struggling Florida State program that was kind of not really very good under really Tagger up 5-7 and then 6-7. They were really up and down play and undisciplined at times, kind of out of shape. I thought conditioning was kind of a question. Blew a big lead in that Boise State game. Were up big and then they just got tired, made some mistakes. They couldn't capitalize on a fumble late in the game, and they just kind of Boise State took control at the end, and let that one slip away. At the quarterback, James Blackman has been up and down. He's a guy that's played a little bit, played as a true freshman when he was just a real skinny quarterback that came in, dealt with some injuries. They also had Alex Hornibrook, a graduate transfer from Wisconsin, pretty solid career at Wisconsin, nearly led Wisconsin to a Big Ten title. So Blackman got hurt, and then Hornibrook came in and did some good things, won a few games, but it was the offensive line was a struggle, and their offense was up and down. Brought over Art Briles, Kendrell Briles' son, to call the plays, and their play calling was pretty solid. But that's why you put a lot of it on the head coach, because sometimes they're just undisciplined, made some silly mistakes, penalties, poor offensive line play. They couldn't get a lot of protection. And they do lose Cam Akers at the running back position. That's going to hurt. Cam Akers just broke a lot of tackles, made a lot of plays when there was really not a whole lot there. There was unblocked players, and Cam Akers would make a guy miss, run through a tackle, make plays in the passing game when they really needed him to. Just pretty clutch plays from Cam Akers. And I've done a breakdown. I've talked a lot about Cam Akers on this show. Jashawn Corbin comes in, running back transfer from Texas A&M. He'll help them out in the running game. Also got Kalon Laybourne at running back. He played a little bit last year. Smaller guy, but pretty tough, pretty fast, physical running back. Have a lot of experience at the wide receiver position. Going back and watching some games, I really like the wide receiver position for Florida State. Tamarion Terry, he's a pretty good player. He's up and down, though. That's why he came back. 1,000 yards last year, 9 touchdowns, but has some things he needs to improve on. He would have been likely probably 3rd, 4th round pick had he come out this year, but if he fixes his things, could likely be a 1st round pick. Has all the talent, just very up and down. Doesn't win as many jump balls as you want him to for being a big physical presence at the wide receiver position. DJ Matthews also does his work in the return game, returns punts, does a lot of work underneath. They get him involved in the screens. And another guy I like was Onateri. What's his last name? Onateri Wilson, number 80. He really exploded in that NC State game. They want to look for more big things out of Wilson next year. I think he can be a good deep play threat for Blackman next year. So they want more big things out of him in the future. On defense, they returned 7 starters. I think this is a side of the ball where they could be real good. Marvin Wilson chose to return to school instead of heading to the draft. He'll likely be the number 1 defensive tackle off the board. I'll get you the stats on Wilson. 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. Wilson, a very disruptive player, strong, physical. At the next level, he's never going to be a guy that'll rust the passer, but reminds me of Derek Brown, just going to be a solid staple in the inside. Will stuff a lot of run plays and create havoc inside. Will likely draw some double teams next year and on to the next level. Amari Gainer returns at linebacker, really broke out as a freshman. Very good pass rusher, 7 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. There's a lot of plays. He just exploded into the backfield and created a lot of havoc for opponents. So having a Gainer back is huge for the Seminoles that always have a lot of speed at the linebacker position. They also have a Sante Samuel Jr., who's one of their best defensive backs, son of a Sante Samuel, longtime Falcons corner, played in the NFL for several years, had a pretty good career. Jaden Woodbury's a guy that played a lot, or Woodbay. Hassam Nasser al-Din, he's a safety I really like. He's just a tremendous run stopper, great form tackler, produces a lot of forced fumble, 2 forced fumbles in the Boise State game, also added an interception. Just an incredible tackle. If he's on the field, it adds a different dimension to the Florida State defense. So looking at the schedule, they open up with West Virginia at Atlanta. That'll be a somewhat of a tough game. West Virginia is kind of been up and down, trending more downwards with Dana Holgerson, but should be a winnable game. I think their defense will get them the win here. I think it'll be a close one, probably like a 16-13 game, 17-14 game. I think they come away with this one. At Boise State, week 3, I think they lose that one, even though they want revenge on Boise State for the way it ended last year. I think Boise's a tough place to play. It's a long travel for a lot of Florida State players that are likely from the state of Florida. Probably be a night game. Tough environment. So I think Boise State comes away with the win there. And then in a couple weeks they play Clemson. I think that's a loss. And I think they probably stumble in another ACC game against Pitt. And then Florida, I likely see them losing to. So I think this is likely a strong 8-4 team with 4 losses coming close. I really like Florida State. I think they're trending upwards defensively. All the speed on defense. Norvell's a good coach. He will likely clean up some of the undisciplined plays. Like on defense, it was like, there's some dropped interceptions. They could have made several more plays last year, and I think this year they'll make those plays. They'll be in better positions. Taggart last year was switching from a 4-3 to a 3-4. I think Norvell, I'm not sure exactly what defensive scheme he runs, but I think they'll get them in a scheme. He's a good enough coach where they'll get them a defensive scheme where their players are likely to be more to succeed. I think Nasser al-Din will stay healthy this year. And this guy, though, really emerged as one of the top safety prospects in college football. Love what I've seen out of him. I just can't say enough about him. He's a guy that's really popped on the tape. And, like I said, Amari Gaynor, I've watched more and more from him. But, yeah, you saw in that Boise State game, you saw a glimpse into the future of what could be with Florida State. They were just firing on all cylinders. The running game was working. The passing game was working. Then it just kind of collapsed. The NC State game, Hornibrook came in, and they had a bunch of receivers involved. Also have number 88, I forget what his name is, but had him involved. They had some other young guys involved. Number 11, there's some depth at the wide receiver position. Florida State hasn't recruited as well as they have been in the past. This year they've really recruited better, but there's still some talent there left over from the Taggart. Taggart was a good recruiter. I don't think Taggart was an awful head coach. He's an okay offensive mind. I think he gets his guys motivated, but his teams don't always play discipline, and I really question his strength and conditioning program because Florida State just kind of looked like they were out of shape in some games. So, but yeah, the Noles, it's Florida State's a program you want to see good, traditional power, like Miami. It's good for college football when Florida State's up there. So, yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for the great support. Make sure to support me on Patreon. I'll post my Venmo below if you want to donate to the show and keep supporting Big Time Football Talk. I appreciate you guys' great comments so much, and I'm glad I'm building like a strong core of subscribers that you guys watch my videos and enjoy, and hopefully you guys get some to them and get excited for college football coming up. But you know how this podcast has gone. We're just no crap. I get straight to it. I give you my analysis. I'm watching a lot of film. I'm watching. I'm making sure that I get you guys the best previews you can. On YouTube. So thanks for tuning in to Big Time Football Talk. Until next time, peace.